Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining me today in the call lab. Can somebody let me know that you could hear me all right today? On the right-hand side of the panel, you'll see a chat, a Q&A, a poll, and a handout drop down. Somebody let me know that they could. No reverberation, nothing like that? Excellent. So for those of you who've never been to Call Lab before, there are a couple of weird things I want to tell you about at the beginning. One, because of client confidentiality, you can only listen to my side of the call, which makes it a little clunky and a little bit annoying because I have to use my cell phone. You'll be able to hear me talking. You won't be able to hear what the prospect on the other side of the phone is saying. One of the other kind of quirky, annoying things about listening to live cold calling is there's a very good chance that nobody will answer their phone. So you could listen to, 2 hours of nothing. So if it's a not very exciting day on the phone, please don't feel obligated to stick around. I won't be offended. This will be recorded and you can come back and listen to it at your leisure at another time. But if you want to ask me questions in the middle of dials, then stick around and do so. I try to answer questions as they come in, as it's convenient to do so, which obviously slows down calling a little bit. For those of you who've never done any cold calling or seen any cold calling or hired a cold caller, on average, on a call lab, I can make about 10 dials an hour, usually because I'm interacting with the audience in some way. If I'm calling and I'm not talking to anybody, I can usually make about 15. That can be sped up with all kinds of different technology. We opt not to use that technology at Managed Sales Pros because I want to create people who think about what they're doing on the phone. I don't want to just force feed them phone calls over and over again. And predictive dialers have some challenges. And a predictive dialer is something that dials 10 phone numbers. And then whoever picks up the phone, the other 9 calls get dropped. So that's fine if you're an extraordinary large company and you're not worried about brand damage. But if you're a small MSP in Kentucky, for example, and every time you dial the phone, you hang up on 9 potential prospects with your caller ID, at some point that's going to piss someone off. So we dial one-on-one ratio calling, and we normally don't use our cell phones. We have an integrated solution that goes right into our Zoho, so I can click to dial when I'm calling for the business. Today, I'm calling for my husband's managed service provider, Doberman Technologies. It's actually no longer his business. It was sold in December 2021, but they graciously allow me to continue to call for them. So we're going to get started right away. Does anybody have any questions before I begin today? Hour 1 today, I'm calling leads that we've never touched before. So just random imported into the database from a list that we bought online from Dun & Bradstreet or somewhere similar. No questions? And everyone can hear me all right? All right, let's get started. So I don't know how you sort your data when you're managing calling for your business, but we separate our information into cold leads, warm leads, and opportunities. So a warm lead is someone that we've interacted with a few times. We haven't managed to get them to commit to anything, but we do know that they're qualified, and we know that they're qualified because somebody's already answered the question, how many computers do you have, and how do you receive IT support, and when is your contract up for renewal? And that's what we're looking for. So right now I'm going to search for some untouched records in the system, things that we have not called, let's say, this year. All right. So one of the things that I think is really, really important when you're calling is to not pre-qualify the lead. I don't skip over contacts that I think, oh, they're going to be too big to work with us, or, oh, they're going to be too small to work for us or work with us. I just call them and I see if they're interested. So let the prospect to disqualify themselves. You never know when you might get that first whale client. If you can't support a whale client, you should know that going into the call so that you can politely excuse yourself from the conversation. That number is not in service. So we disposition that call. That's a bad number. And we move on. So this is a medical practice. To be specific, it is a plastic surgeon. Hi there, it's Carrie calling from Doberman Technologies, and I was wondering who I would speak to there to provide a quote for IT support. Thank you very much. Can you tell me how we would go about being considered when you're looking at new vendors? They hung up on me. Yes. Oh, all right. Thank you very much for your time. Have a great day. Bye-bye. They hadn't hung up on me, so that's a really good don't say anything after your pardon me. All right. So in this case, they are not interested. So in my world, not interested doesn't mean not interested forever. It just means not interested now. So in this case, I wouldn't take this out of the database. I would make a note that they weren't interested, and I would create a callback for about 6 months from now. You'll find that most people don't remember talking to you. Managed Sales Pros, we have a incentive for our team to get back on the call as soon as possible. So there's a couple of things that you can control as an agent, and there's a lot of things you can't control. And one of those things is how many people are going to pick up the phone and how many people are going to want to have a conversation with you. So incentivizing a telemarketing agent on things like how many conversations they have every day doesn't really give them the opportunity to control their day. So I look at things like, look, you can't control how many conversations you're going to have today, but you can absolutely control how quickly you pick up the phone again after you dial. So this disposition is not interested. Got a bunch of junk leads in here. So I apologize for having to go look for. Frustrating. So Doberman is one of the very few clients that we allow to use their own database. This is one of the reasons why it's challenging to sort. So I'm sorting by last activity time now. I'm trying to find people that we haven't spoken to ever. Now, this is a not-for-profit organization. It's a significantly large organization in our area. If you got questions while I'm calling, just pop them in. So I'm just hitting 0. It's a very long dial thing. All right, so normally I would sit on hold and wait for that very, very long IVR to do its thing, but we've got a limited amount of time today, so we're moving on to the next one. Red Cross. Why not? Can't very well say I'm not going to prejudge and then not call the Red Cross, right? Voicemail. So a couple of questions came in. One was curious if you've had any success with your approach of asking who you can provide a quote for IT support with. So Patrick, I've been doing this for 10 years. It's the only approach I use. Yes, I have had exceptionally good success. I find that much easier than spending hours researching titles and people and other garbage on LinkedIn who don't even make the IT decision. So what I find a lot of the times is MSPs spend an extraordinary amount of time building highly curated lists of people that never take their phone calls. So I'd much rather just get a cold, shitty list from anywhere that's free or easy and then ask the person who answers the phone who makes the IT support decisions. The purpose of the call doesn't work, right? The purpose of my call is, like, right now you're setting yourself up as somebody who isn't their equal. When you say, hey, who do I speak to provide a quote for IT support? For all they know, you are their IT company and you need to speak to somebody in the IT department or in the C-suite. So the longer your intro, the more likely it is the gatekeeper is going to figure out that you're a telemarketer and tell you to get bent. So the easiest, most direct approach is like, hey, who should I speak to for this? Right? Then you find out, one, who is the decision maker, which is really important because you don't want to spend 25 phone calls trying to reach somebody who doesn't even make the IT support decisions. All right, who's next? So in this case, I am prejudging this because it's the largest hospital in the Michigan area. And we know all about them. How are these getting back into the thing? Sorry, I got to sort out some things here. So the better you manage your data in your CRM, the easier it is that you can eliminate things from call views. So for in this example, the client marks things that they don't want us calling using a disposition called DNC. Hi there, it's Carrie calling from Doberman Technologies. Who should I speak to provide a quote for IT support? And Lucas asks, can we listen to what the people are saying back to me? No, I'm calling for a client. These are prospects for the client. I can't tell you who I'm calling and I can't tell you what they're saying. Unfortunately, that just gives every other IT provider in Michigan all of the information that I'm learning today. So unfortunately, if that's what you came here for, I cannot help you, but I can tell you about the conversation afterwards if somebody takes my call today. This one got in here without a phone call or without a phone number. I'm gonna write a very strongly worded letter to the caller that's managing this. Dispo is not disqualified. Let's try that one. Ooh, helicopters. That sounds good. Let's call that. Nope. All right. All right, so in this case, they are asking me if I'd like to speak to a pharmacist, but the company is listed as a hotel, and the person who I am trying to reach is listed as an accountant. So in this case, I'm going to go to visit the company website, see if it's an actual company that exists. And it turns out that this company probably did not survive, and they've repurposed the phone number. So this hotel no longer exists, and it is now pharmacy phone. And since I can't tell what business it is from the voicemail, I have to just position it disqualified. And somebody said, can I call someone in the middle of nowhere? No, I can't. Them's the rules. However, if you'd like to buy your own cold calling campaign, you can listen to as many dials as you like. So now I'm back on to calls that have already been made once or twice on behalf of this company, which we're going to have to go for because their database is actually pretty decent. They've only got a handful of people that have never been called, and they haven't been called for a reason. So this company has 35 computers and one server. We spoke to them in 2018. All right, so nobody's answering that line. So again, I'm going to go check the website, which my MSP won't let me check because their security server has expired, or security thing has expired. So this one gets a callback scheduled. Which I add in the database. And save. All right, next dial. So this is a company that's headquartered in Miami. We don't call companies that are headquartered outside of the Michigan area. So I won't bother. This is a retail store. This is an engineering firm. Checking their website. Not secure. Let's give them a call anyway. So as you may have guessed through this, most of the work in cold calling is just getting someone to pick up the phone. Who's Zoho. All right, so this says that it's an engineering company, but the phone number is for a target. So this company no longer exists. Disposition it as such and move on. This company has tech in the name, so I always check those to make sure they aren't competitors. And their security certificate has also expired. What's up with that? This has systems in the name. Not having a great day today. This is an IT company. What the hell is going on here? Oh, all right. Financial services firm, finally. Oh, headquartered in the UK. Guys, you're killing me. All right, we're going to have to do this a different way. All leads. Let's find leads that have a follow-up associated with them. Here we go. There's no such thing as a good list. Hi, Shannon. It's Carrie calling from Doberman. Is Todd Snyder in today? Thank you. Hey. Oh, nope. Hey Todd, it's Carrie calling from Doberman Technologies. I'm sorry I missed you today. You spoke with Matthew last year and you mentioned that our prices were a little over what you were interested in taking a look at. I wanted to let you know that we had a couple of new offerings that you might be interested in taking a look at. And I'd love to set some time up for you to speak with Mike, our CEO. Our phone number is 517-978-8324, or you can always find us online at doberman.net and schedule an appointment yourself at Contact Us. Hope you're having a great day. Take care. All right, clear that call. So with the transition from Doberman Technologies, they changed their offerings significantly. So they went from a significantly higher cost per seat to a more hybrid approach to managed services. So a lot of the companies that we were disqualified for on price a couple of years ago or further back now are wide open again for us because the pricing model has changed. So I've got the opportunity now to go back into things where we were priced out by a competitor, for example. Somebody asked me what CRM we're using. I use Zoho, but I'm a big believer in using whatever you have available to you. So there are lots of ways to make your PSA work for outbound cold calling. And one of those ways is to create more drop downs or more like user defined fields for the status of accounts. PSAs were really built to do ticketing, so they aren't fantastic for prospecting. But if they're all you've got, I would highly recommend using what you have before you invest in a brand new CRM. And if you find that you are cold calling every day and you are doing business development every day, then it is absolutely worth investing in a significantly better CRM system. The faster you can call, the better. So you can see even today with Zoho, Zoho can be set up 100 different ways. The Managed Sales Pro Zoho is set up the same way it was set up 10 years ago, so I can just wing through that really easy. I didn't set up this Zoho, so I have to kind of poke around and look for things. So I have to make my note. One of the things I like to encourage people to do and encourage your callers to do is to take your notes right in the CRM. Don't take them on a piece of paper and then spend time transferring them later. You're going to lose valuable calling time that way. Next call. So one of the things I have to do if somebody's already called them is take a look at the number of notes that we have associated to it. And we've tried to call this company 12 times now. Hey, Corey, it's Carrie Simpson calling from Doberman Technologies. How are you? I'm well, thank you. You spoke with Matt Long last year about potentially getting a quote for IT support. I was calling to follow up with you to find out if this year might be the year. Well, when you spoke with Matt, you mentioned that you had 35 users and 50 computers. Has that changed? And are you using an outsourced provider or are you working with someone in-house? No, we've been speaking to you every 6 months or so since about 2018. It just never seemed like the time. So I like to follow up every 6 months or so to see if there's an opportunity for us to throw our hat in the ring. No problem. You have a great day, Corey. Bye-bye. All right. So in this case, that was the decision maker. They own the business. They've asked us to not call again. So I'm going to disposition that as a do not call. So I'm not sure how the conversations went previously. If I really want to find out, I can go in and listen to the previous calls, but I'm not that interested. So you can see that the caller before me was able to find out how many computers and how many users they had, so they did their job really well. So this is a surgery center. They have 30 users. One, two, three, four. We've tried to talk to them 7 different times since 2020. And in 2021, they signed a contract for 5 years. They have 3 years left on the contract. They've got a long-term follow-up. I'm going to give them a call, see how things are going. Maybe they got hacked or something. Sorry, I'm not allowed to say hacked. Maybe there was an incident. Hi, Cynthia. It's Carrie Simpson calling from Doberman. Is Stephanie Rubio in today? Of course. Thank you. Hi, Stephanie. It's Carrie calling from Doberman Technologies. I'm just calling to check in with you. We give you a call every year or so. You mentioned last time we spoke that you had a couple of years remaining on the contract with your current provider. I wanted to let you know that we've changed some of our services and our pricing, and I'd like to go over that with you when you have some time. So if you don't mind just giving us a little visit at Doberman.net. There is a contact us form there. If you'd like to hear more about how we've changed our pricing and services, we'd love to tell you about it. I hope you're having a great day. Take care. Now, I did that because I forgot to put the phone number of the company up in front of me and I don't have it memorized. So normally I would leave the callback phone number. And somebody had asked if somebody says do not call them, do I take them off the list permanently? Personally, when I speak to a decision maker, and I mean, I could hear the tone of his voice, and he was like, why don't we just stop having these conversations? Right. So in my mind, that's we're not going to change providers. You're wasting your time. If a gatekeeper, so if anybody who didn't have the authority to sign an IT contract said we're not interested and hung up the phone, I wouldn't remove them from the list. I would just push them 6 months down the road for another phone call. People turn over all the time. So, the person that works for that company could go work somewhere else. the person that you call next time has no idea who you are. There's an opportunity that you could win the business, but when the person owns the business and tells you they're not interested, it's best practice to listen to them and not piss them off. You never know, especially in a smaller community. Like we live in Lansing and we go to a lot of networking events. The last thing I want at a networking event is some guy saying, I asked you to never call me again, and your telemarketers keep calling me and blah. And then somebody around there hears the conversation and it just goes badly from there. It's better to just let the relationship go, because we might bump into each other at a party somewhere or a chamber event somewhere. And I can say like, oh yeah, we spoke on the phone. You asked me not to call you again. Ha ha ha. Right? Like you have the opportunity to rekindle the relationship if you listen and do as you're asked. But if you're a jerk about it, you probably never get the opportunity to win that business no matter what. Sorry, guys, a little congested today. It's actually a pretty good calling morning. I've actually spoken to somebody already, which is pretty rare. Gonna leave this as a follow-up. All right, so this one we actually are pretty fortuitous because we spoke with them in 2021 and they asked for a call back in June of 2022. It's almost June. Oh, this would be a nice win for us. And I also know the company that they're using right now very well. And I know we can beat them on price, and I know we can beat them on service. And I also know that they're less interested in smaller accounts. And this is a small account for one of our competitors. They prefer larger accounts. Hi, Caitlin. Is Terry in today? Terry. Oh, I'm sorry. Is Jana in today? Yeah, it's Carrie calling from Doberman. My contact there was Terry Fitzpatrick, though, so I apologize. Mm-hmm. I'm on hold. Hey, Jana, it's Carrie calling from Doberman Technologies. I just wanted to find out if you were back in the office yet, or if you were still working at home. Our number is 517-978-8324. I was just calling to check in. We spoke last year and you mentioned you might consider changing IT providers in the next few years. We obviously want to be considered when that happens. So again, my number is 517-978-8324, or you can check us out again at Doberman.net. Hope you're having a great day. Bye-bye. This would be a nice win for us. And on to the next one. So this is a church. They have 35 users. They're in a managed contract. We learned that last time we called them. They're just on the outskirts of where we like to support. Just reading some notes. All right. I think churches are an interesting target. The small ones are usually supported by somebody in the congregation, so I normally ditch those. But the bigger ones need IT support and AV support, and they need weekend support. Hi, good morning, Greg. Is Carla Moore in today? Thank you. Hey, Marcus. It's Carrie calling from Doberman Technologies. How are you? Good, thank you. I was looking for Carla. I was calling to find out if it was time for us to provide a quote for IT support. We spoke last year and she mentioned I could give her a call back. Certainly. It's Carrie Simpson. I'm calling from Doberman. The phone number is 517-978-8324. And I know last time we spoke, she mentioned that our pricing might be a little out of scope. We've offered a couple of different packages this year, and I'd like to tell her about them to find out if we might be a better fit now. Are you responsible for Carla's schedule? What would be the best time for me to reach out to her? Kind of a gamble. Mm-hmm. Great. And how was your long weekend? It was nice. Thanks for asking. It was nice speaking with you, Marcus. I hope we get to chat again. I will try her again at another time. All right. Bye-bye. So if it needs to be said, which it probably doesn't, always, 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 always be nice to the person that manages someone else's calendar. So somebody asked, have packages and pricing been adjusted since the last time we spoke, or if I use that as an evergreen reason to talk? No, when the company changed hands, the buyer of the business changed the managed services offering. So it went from being a flat rate, all you can eat, I would say very much on the top end of what Michigan-based companies could charge per seat, to a more hybrid approach with a much lower per seat managed cost, and then a cost per support call. So the company did completely change how they're offering support. And normally I wouldn't talk about that at all, but I know this company really well. I've been calling for them for 3 years. I'm married to the person that used to own the company. So I can have a more intelligent conversation about most of the things on these calls than one of our brand new callers could, for example. So we wouldn't allow our callers to talk about pricing at all when they're outbound calling. And unless the company was priced significantly lower than everyone in the space. And if that was the case, odds are they couldn't afford to work with managed sales pros anyway. So we wouldn't be making calls for them. On average, for a company to receive ROI working with managed sales pros, they'd need to be charging at least $100 per user per month, or they wouldn't see a return on their investment. And they'd have to be looking for opportunities with at least 20 computers. So we're looking for companies between 20 and 150 users, unless the company is specifically going after co-managed opportunities. And if that's the case, we would only want to pursue co-managed opportunities with a completely different call track. So let me make my notes before I forget. And next, how are we doing? We're 46 minutes in. So this is a plastic surgery center. We spoke to these guys in 2021. They had signed a 2-year contract. They have 30 employees. So if they spoke to them in November of 21, we are nowhere near follow-up time. Sometimes I call in and see how things are going. Let's do that. I'm looking for Cassidy, please. Thank you. Hey, Cassidy, it's Carrie calling from Doberman Technologies. We spoke last year, but my notes are kind of messy, and I don't know if I need to speak to Kathy or John. So I thought I'd speak with you first. We'd like to. No, but are you guys doing that? Because my filler is looking a little rough right now. No, I wanted to talk about IT support. All right. Hey, just a quick question for you while I have you here. Do you guys do tear troughs? I don't know. I go to Skin Boss in Lansing, and they don't do them, and I kind of miss having them done. I moved here from Vegas 5 years ago, and wouldn't mind finding a provider that could handle it. Yeah, that'd be great. My phone number is, you know what? Can I call you back with my phone number? Would you mind? I'm calling on a recorded work line, and I appreciate you. Awesome. Thank you. All right. Thanks for your help, Cassidy. Kathy, it's Carrie calling from Doberman Technologies, and I was just calling to check in and see how things were going with your new IT support provider. Last time we spoke, you mentioned that you had just started with somebody new. Our number is 517-978-8324. And if things are going great, no problem. But if you'd like a second opinion, obviously we would love to throw our hat in the ring. You can learn more about us online at Doberman.net. Again, my name is Carrie, and my phone number is 517-978-8324. Thanks so much. Have a great day. So instead of putting my phone number out there live online, if you can find something to bond with somebody over when you're making a phone call, the odds on you having that conversation and making that conversation last significantly longer, or them remembering you next time you call in, significantly better. So I don't know what you're going to specialize in calling into, right? For Doberman, it's medical. So we call medical clinics all day, every day. We know quite a bit about them. And I do actually need to have my tear troughs done, even though I look stunning online today. So if I can find something, anything that I can bond with, somebody says something about their dog, if somebody says something about the weather, I'm going to latch onto that. I'm going to have a really pleasant conversation with them for as long as they'll talk to me, or as long as it's reasonable to keep them away from their job, right? If there are 6 phones going off in the background, I am not going to have a chit chat about whether or not I'm going to go in and get my filler done. Anybody have any questions right now? Coming up to the top of the hour. And next. Financial services company, 30 employees. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So we've tried to call this company 9 times, and the phone just rings and nobody answers it. So the first thing I'm going to do is check their website, see if they actually exist. And it does not appear that they are still in business, so I am going to disqualify this one. So this has a tag of a follow-up for September 5th. I want to find out September 5th of what year. See if somebody missed their follow-up opportunity. So one of the things that you should really think about when you're managing your CRM and your outbound cold calling is if you decide to push off your follow-up activities, often you will lose the opportunity to win the business because a competitor will beat you to it. I am not the only person in Michigan cold calling into health services clinics today to try and win new business. So if somebody tells me that their contract is going to be up in 6 months and that they'd like to speak in 3, odds on me remembering exactly who that is and exactly when that's going to happen are very slim. So I need to schedule follow-up activities, and I need to honor them, because that follow-up activity can make the difference between us winning the business and the guy down the street winning the business. So the first thing I check is to see, did the caller actually do their follow-up task as scheduled? And I can see that they are on target here. So this is a September 5th, 2022 follow-up. It really is too soon for me to follow up based on the notes. So I'm just going to leave this one be and move on to the next one. This has got a November 1st flag. Again, checking to see, did the callers do what they were supposed to do? Mm-hmm. They had a contract renewal date of January 2022. Oh, if we miss this one, I'm going to be cranky. going to call and find out. So this is an excellent example of how skipping a follow-up activity can lose you the deal. This had a November 1st of 2021 follow-up activity date. Somebody missed it. The renewal for the contract was January 1st. So we may have very well missed the opportunity. I'm sorry, somebody said repeat the voicemail. Can you specify what you'd like me to repeat, please, Stacy? I'm going to tag this one and deal with them later. So these guys are really happy with their computer guy. They have 90 employees. Only half of them use computers, so there's 45 computers here. Last time we called them was in January of 2022. So this lead has what we call a friend or family or embedded provider. So those are very difficult to displace. I don't let my callers pick and choose not to call them, but I'm not going to call one for you today. It doesn't make a lot of sense. These guys are really happy, and somebody's married to the guy that owns the company that provides the IT support. I don't like calling that company over and over again is a waste of your time. And Stacy, my voicemail kind of changes every time I leave one. But I'm sure I'll leave another one. Usually it'll be like, hey, it's Carrie calling from Doberman Technologies. I'm sorry I missed you today. You can learn more about us online at Doberman.net. Our phone number is blah, 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 blah. I'm just trying to be as friendly as possible. If we've already spoken, I'll reference the last time we spoke to maybe trigger something. And if I've sent them an email, I'm going to mention that I sent them an email. We train our callers to not send emails at all. So what I want people doing if they say, hey, can you send me something, is say something like, what are you most interested in learning about so that I can send you email information that's actually relevant? And that kind of helps you decide whether or not they're screwing with you. Like some people just don't like to say no. And those are the people that waste your time cold calling. I would so much rather somebody said, hey, go F yourself and hung up the phone than just strung me along every time I called them for years and years. Somebody asked the question, do I ever get discouraged and how do I keep myself focused? I don't know. I've been doing this a really long time and I just that's just how it goes, right? People say yes, people say no. My biggest interest in cold calling is problem solving and figuring out how I'm going to get from point A to point B. And that's what keeps me entertained and interested. But when I was running a call center full time and I had to interact with the agents that did get discouraged on a very regular basis, we did all kinds of fun stuff just to amp up the energy in the call center. So every Wednesday, for example, we had Wedding Dress Wednesday. So if you had been married, or if you had been to a wedding recently and you bought a really nice outfit to wear to it, we encouraged everyone to wear their wedding dresses, wear their wedding outfits. We had a little buffet lunch, and just little things like that keep the energy in a call center a lot higher than just coming in and grinding away every day. We also do things like core value award winner for the day. So if somebody is having a rough day and the person next to them is like, come on, go, 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 you've almost hit your number. We give an award to not just the person who battled through and hit their number, but to the person that was yay, cheerleading them from the side. When you sit at home by yourself cold calling all day, it's really hard to replicate that. So we do have a lot of things that we do in our remote call center to try and keep people motivated. But most of the time we find that agents are just motivated by money. So just put some money on the table and make sure that when you're offering a bonus, you're offering a bonus on something that agent can specifically control, right? So the data that I'm going through today, for example, there were 100 leads in that list that were just straight up garbage. And if I was the agent that had to call those lists, I get penalized for skipping them, right? So I've got to call them. If they're on the list, I've got to call them. And we monitor things like that because I don't want people cherry picking through the list. I want people calling everyone on their list. So if they were faced with the list that I first looked at today, that would have been a really shitty day for them. So since they can't control that their list is garbage, think about the things that they can control and try and think of fun ways to incentivize people to keep their spirits up around the things that they can actually manage. And if you make a list of the things that are within your control when you're doing outbound calling, that list is not very long. So it shouldn't take you a long time. And if you want a little more information on how we measure KPIs for our agents, just send me a note after the webinar. I'd be happy to tell you a little bit about like trial and error, what worked for us, what didn't work for us. But for me personally, usually if somebody's really shitty to me, I just keep talking to them after they hang up the phone. So if someone tells me to go F myself, I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry your wife left you. It must be because you're such an asshole, right? Like, I'm not going to say that on a recorded line, obviously, or to anybody, but it makes me feel better. And I give myself a little pat on the back and I just keep moving on, right? People are having bad days. You have no idea what you're calling into, right? Like, for all you know, something really terrible just happened in their business. You're calling the owner of a business who just found out that they lost their biggest client, for example, and now they're figuring out whether or not they're going to be able to make payroll next month. And I'm trying to sell them IT support. Like, it's natural that they're going to be kind of rude and shitty to me. They don't have to be, but not everyone can control that all the time every day. So I usually just chalk it up to like, this is a one-time thing. They're having a bad day. I like to believe that everybody's a good person, and on any given Sunday, they'll be nice to me. And on any given Sunday, they could be having a really shitty day and treat me poorly. I mean, I own a cold calling company, and I'm not always nice to cold callers, especially if they're bad at it. All right, what do we got here? I don't know what kind of business this is, so I'm going to just check their website real fast. Comprehensive IT cost reduction and performance advisory services. So I don't think we need to call these guys, but I will flag this for somebody to take a look at and send it to. I have Teams open all the time. So when we work with a client, we have an instance of Teams that belongs to them, and we have an email address that belongs to them. So at any time, I can just send something over to them in Teams that they can take a look at. So in this case, this is this is listed as a follow-up call. So one of our agents called this competitor and pitched them IT support services. And they aren't really an IT support company. They're an IT spend optimization company. So I assume that they do some kind of consulting, but obviously it's something we want to take off the list. Unless we want them as a referral partner, which is why I send it to the owner of the business. All right, this is an insurance agency. They have 17 users, 17 desktops. They have one in-house IT person. The last time we spoke with them was February 8th. So this has an actual follow-up activity because the person that manages this was on maternity leave. It's a little early to make the follow-up call on it, but give him a shout. So that company just has a generic catch-all voicemail. These guys have a September 1st follow-up. That's a little bit too soon. So they've been working with the same guy for 20 years. Follow-up after tax season. It's after tax season. Is it? January. Yes, it's after tax season. Hi, Tammy. It's Carrie calling from Doberman Technologies. Can you tell me who I should speak to provide a quote for IT support there? Okay, thank you. I appreciate your help. Hi, Missy. It's Carrie calling from Doberman Technologies. How are you? I'm good, thank you. You spoke with Matt Long last year about potentially providing a quote for IT support. I know you've been working with the same company for quite a while now. Is it time for a fresh set of eyes and potentially a competitive quote? Well, it sounds like you're really happy with them. Oh, wonderful. Do you know where you saw that advertisement? Like, did we send it to you or did you just see it online somewhere? Ah, oh, ha. We sent you a greeting card. All right. Well, I will follow up with you in a year. I'm glad things are going well for you. 10 months. Is there something that they're not doing that you're interested in? Okay. Yeah. How are they handling your security requirements and your compliance requirements? Oh, I'm glad to hear it. All right. Well, I will put a call back in for about 10 months from now. So if there's an opportunity to evaluate a new provider, we don't miss the boat. No problem. You have a great week. All right. Bye bye. Just missed it. They just re-signed with them. But the fact that they've asked me to give them a call before their contract expires next time means there's absolutely an opportunity for us to win this business next time. So timing wise, what did we miss? Follow up in May. Yeah, we've missed it. We missed it by a month. So I want everybody to take a lesson from this. There's an opportunity here. And if we had called them back on schedule instead of missing the follow up appointment call, we probably had the opportunity to win this little deal. It's a 15-seat deal, but I mean, that makes a difference. I'm going to make sure right now that I flag this one. I'm going to send it to the owner of the business so that they flag it. Again, they're pretty happy with their provider, so maybe we'd win it, maybe we wouldn't, but you don't get to win if you don't play. That pisses me off when we miss things by a month. I'm going to add a tag in here to follow up again. Next. Ooh, funeral home. 21 desktops. 13 employees. There is a December follow-up scheduled, so I'm not going to make that one. October follow-up. Ooh, June 1st follow-up. Okay. Everybody cross their fingers. This looks like a good one. Mm-hmm. 60 computers, 52 users. Penny. So normally I would just like scan real fast before dialing the phone, but with a June 1 scheduled follow-up date, the contract is up for renewal in July. This could be the one. No whammies, no whammies, no whammies. Good morning, it's Carrie calling from Doberman. Is Adam in? Thank you. Hey Adam, it's Carrie from Doberman. How are you? I'm well, thank you. You and I haven't spoken before. You were speaking with Allison from our company last year. You mentioned that your IT contract was up for renewal in July, and we wanted to put a bid in. How would we go about doing that? Time flies when you're in the middle of a pandemic. Okay. Okay. I will talk to the CEO and find out what day works best. Is morning or afternoon better for you? And what is your address, please? It kind of depends on what you'd like us to take a look at. Can you tell me a little bit about I mean, we didn't get too much in, like, you didn't get too much into it because I can't tell from the notes what your network looks like right now. It looked like you had 15 computers. Is that still accurate? Okay. Slower, slower. So 55 Office 365 licenses. And is there a reason that everybody doesn't have the same type? Okay. And are you using any other proprietary technology? Are you using any end of life technology there? Sometimes. Okay. How old is it? Okay. Mm-hmm. And you bought it outright or you're leasing it from your current provider? Okay. Okay. What is the business management system called so we can research it before we come on? Okay. What's been going well? Okay. What would we need to do differently than the company you're working with right now? Like, how do we win the business? How do we lose the business? Yeah, totally fair. Do you mind if I ask you who you're working with right now? I might be able to tell you right now whether we can give you tremendous cost savings or whether or not we're just banging our heads against the wall. Can you spell that for me? I'm not familiar with that company. So I will let Mike know that that is a concern. And if it turns out that our prices, because he may know more than me, if it turns out that our prices are well above what they're charging, apples for apples, I think he'll probably want to talk to you to find out if it is an apples for apples comparison. But we're usually not the type of company that bumps people out over price. We usually bump people out over service. So if it turns out we can support you at a similar or better cost, wonderful. But if it can't, we'll be pretty upfront with you right away. We don't want to waste your time or ours. So let me find out. Oh yeah, nobody wants to waste their time. But then there's a difference between somebody who's paying, $100 for three things and $100 for 18 things. So it's good to know at least what your options are. So I doubt that the meeting will be wasted, but I will let Mike know that price is a primary concern for you. Is there anything else you'd like me to let Mike know before I call him to get the meeting on the calendar? That's everybody. Does that mean that you have above average numbers of tickets, or does that mean that they just don't use their computers very often, or that you could go down for a significant period of time without it impacting your business? Okay. Do you know what the approximate cost per day is when your business is non-functional? Did they do that calculation for you when you joined that firm? Okay. Sometimes just having a couple extra computers on hand solves that problem. How old are the computers that you're using right now? Are they nearing end of life? Will you need to replace them? Okay. And security wise, do you know what kind of technology they're using right now to protect you from cybersecurity incidents? Okay. Okay. So you're virtualizing some of your systems? Okay. And how often is everything backed up? Is it hourly, daily, weekly? And how often are those backups checked? Okay. All right. So I'm going to give Mike a quick call. What is your email address, please, so I can send out the invitation for the invite? At EN or AN? Or ON? Same as the company. All right. Well, I really appreciate your time. And I will look forward to getting that on the calendar. If you need to reschedule, my contact information will also be on that email invitation. So if something comes up, you have an emergency, you want to reschedule, just reach out to me and I'll make sure that that gets done. All right. You have a great week. All right. Bye bye. And that, my friends, is how it's done. So this is a really interesting opportunity because we probably couldn't compete with them if we hadn't just changed how we price. So this is an awesome opportunity. The company's bigger than originally we thought. So we originally thought that this was a 15 seat opportunity, and it turns out that it is a 40 seat opportunity. They're ready to meet exactly when they said they would be. We didn't miss the follow-up activity. So that's kind of like the big thing to take away from calling today is if you skip your follow-ups, you're never going to get a meeting. So this is an interesting company. It's a manufacturing firm. We know now who they're using for IT support, so we can research them, find out what they're charging. We have the opportunity to talk about, like, we asked a lot of questions. We qualified everything, found out how much it costs for the company if they go down for a day, and that cost is $8,000. Right. So if they go down for a day, it costs them $8,000. Every day that they're down, it's $8,000. So this is going to be an interesting opportunity for us to displace the current provider. So I can't just stop calling now. I got to keep going on with my day, which is too bad because I'm feeling pretty good. And this would be a great place to end dialing today. Does anyone have any questions about how I structured the questions that I had on that scheduling of appointment, etc.? And somebody asked if the webinar is being recorded. Yep, the webinar is being recorded. Honestly, Matt, you didn't miss anything interesting at the beginning. So, Stacy, something really important to remember, like, I've been doing this for 10 years and I know all the buzzwords and the things because if you own the IT company and you understand all the questions that I just asked, ask them. If you don't, what you don't want to happen is you get backed into a corner when they ask a follow-up question about something. Thank you. They'll be really happy. And it's good for me when it happens live on the air because sometimes you can call for like 6 days straight and get nothing. So to get a meeting, awesome. Almost to the point where I feel like I need to Text them right now. Find out his schedule. All right, and then we get back on the phone so that our boss doesn't yell at us. Okay, what's up next? What do these guys do? Just going to take a quick peek because it looks like a government agency. Nope. Electrical construction company. Ooh, they built the Whole Foods. Follow-up scheduled for July 11th. That's a little early. Might be able to push it. These guys have an in-house IT guy. I don't feel like dealing with that today. Unless, does anybody here want to hear how we deal with in-house IT guys? I'll go back if you do. Ooh, we have a May 26th appointment. How far overdue is that one? Jerks. Oh. Hold on. I think this is already a client of ours. I recognize the name. All right, well, we'll go back to internal IT guy then because people want to hear how we would handle that. I'm sorry, I'm just waiting to find out if this company is actually a client of Doberman's already. All right, so we're gonna give these guys a call. Hi, is Jean in? It's Carrie calling from Doberman. Thanks. Exactly, Ryan, but it wasn't their client. Similar name. Hey, Jean, it's Carrie Simpson calling from Doberman Technologies. I'm just following up from our conversation last year to find out if you had any projects that you needed some support on this year. My phone number is 517-978-8324, or you can just visit us online at doberman.net. Hope you're having a great day. Take care. So Ryan asked if it was a client, why was it not pushed into the one category? So in this case, it normally would have been. I mean, but people make mistakes all the time. So what I didn't want to do was call the company and sound like a complete idiot if they were already clients of ours. But it turns out that they just have a very similar name to a client of ours already. And when we're working for IT companies, what we used to do was ask any MSP that worked with us to give us their client list so that we could eliminate all of their clients from calling. People were very uncomfortable with that idea, and I can't say that I blame them, right? They're just essentially giving us a hit list that we could give to anybody if we wanted to, if we were jerks. So what we do instead now is when we pull our raw data, we send that back to the client and we ask the client to remove anybody that they don't want called from that list. So instead of saying, hey, take your clients out of this list, it's take out clients, take out opportunities, take out people you don't want to do business with, take out people that you know aren't going to be a good fit for you, maybe clients that you had 10 years ago that you know you don't want to work with again. We have lots of MSP clients, for example, who don't want to work with dentists. Maybe they pull out all the dentists. We just send them a list of 2,000 companies. They send us back the list of the companies that they want called. So I just assume if it's on the list, it's free to call. But in this case, since I know the company very well, just the close name gave me enough pause that I wanted to double check before I made them look dumb. So now we're going to call them since they aren't our client yet. Hi, Rachel. It's Carrie calling from Doberman. How are you? I'm good, thank you. You spoke with Allison from our office last year and mentioned that you would be open to a quote for IT support this year. I was hoping that it might be time for that. How do I go about scheduling an opportunity for you to chat with our CEO? I understand. When would be a better time to call back? It sounds like things are a bit chaotic. When they settle down, will there be an opportunity for a competitive bid? Okay. Should I ask for you or should I ask for someone else? I dialed the main number and pressed three. We've been trying to talk to you since about 2019. Do you ever require support for projects or hardware? All right. Well, it sounds like you guys have everything covered right now. I'll follow up with you in 6 months and see how things are going. I hope things settle down. All right. Thanks. Have a great day, Rachel. Bye bye. So these guys are in house, but they also outsource some stuff based on the notes from the last like billions of calls that we've made in there. So we will keep pursuing them. In my experience, you're only about 90 days away from hating your IT guys. So if you can catch somebody in the 90 days right before or the 90 days right after, you've got a really good opportunity of winning the business. Next up, All right, so this is a 20 user company. They're in a managed contract, and their contract renews July 1st, 2022. So if you can think of one piece of information that you want to gather on any call that you make, it's going to be that contract end date. All right. Can you give these guys a call? So these guys like their IT company. But they're still up for renewal, so let's give them a call. Hi, Stephen, please. It's Carrie calling from Doberman. Thank you. Yeah, is Steve the right person to talk to provide a quote for IT support there? I know we spoke with Steve about it. He mentioned that the contract is up for renewal on July 1st. All right. Yeah, that would be super helpful. Thank you. Hey, Steve, it's Carrie calling from Doberman Technologies. Sorry I missed you today. Last time we spoke with you, you mentioned that you had a contract for IT support that was up for renewal in July. I was hoping we might have the opportunity to put in a competitive bid before you signed that. Second set of eyes never hurts. My phone number is 517-978-8324. Or you can visit us online at doberman.net. And if you'd like, you can self-schedule an appointment to chat with somebody right there on the website. Again, my name is Carrie, and the phone number is 517-978-8324. Hope you're having a great day. Take care. Good job, team. So I can cancel that follow-up because we completed it today. Close the task. Mark is completed. Add another follow-up task. I'm going to call them back in a week. Okay, I might try to call him on Friday. And then on to the next one. Find companies that are just names of people very challenging because unless you've pulled it from something that identifies the industry, you have to do a little bit of extra digging to figure out, we have an open task for June 1st. Let's see what the notes have to say about this. Mm-hmm. 25 users. They don't have a contract. We have a follow-up for today. 1422. All right, well, let's see how it goes. I'm looking for Sonia. It's Carrie from Doberman. Hey, Sonia. You spoke with Allison last year about potentially providing a quote for IT support. You mentioned that you had 25 computers, but that you were happy with your current provider. And I was wondering if it was time to provide that competitive quote. What would it take to win your business? Like, what would we need to do different than the company that you're currently working with? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. When would be a good time to give you a follow up call? Sounds like you're doing well now. Okay. No, I'm happy to hear that you've got that handled. That's it's nice to like your IT person. Yeah. Yeah, we've sent you some information a couple of times. It sounds like you guys have got everything handled there. I'll check in with you in a year or so and see how things are going. It's always nice to have someone in your back pocket in case something does happen. All right, you have a great day. Thanks for taking my call. All right, bye-bye. Yeah, so same provider for 10 years. It sounds like it's just a single person that does their IT support, and it's a woman. So I'm going to close off that task. And I'll schedule we call it a health check. I'll schedule a health check from for a year from now. And since they renew every year in July, May is a good time to give them a call. How's everybody doing? Are y'all bored yet? All right, we have a 25 desktop, one server opportunity here. What do we know about them? They're in a managed contract. We know the company that they're working with. Our contact there is the head of IT. Check some previous notes on this one. It says they have 12 employees, an in-house IT guy, and a managed service provider, which would be pretty rare. Mm-hmm. Multiple locations, so they changed out of office. Been with them for a long time. Follow up to 1622. Did that get done? Oh, contract is up in August. See how it goes. So the longer you cold call, the easier it gets. Right? All of this information, we had none of it when we started calling for them 3 years ago. But now we know when everybody's contracts are expiring, which makes it a lot easier to have conversations. Yeah, it just hung up on me, so. Interesting. I'm going to mark that one to figure out what's going on later. It would probably be significantly easier if you could hear both sides of the conversation. All right, 30 desktops, 30 server, 30 users, 2 servers. June 1st follow-up. Close enough for jazz. Ah, 2 locations, 30 servers. Hmm. 210, 22. These guys have been using the same company for 10 years. We know the company. Hi, it's Carrie calling from Doberman. I was calling to find out who I should chat with to provide a quote for IT support. Last time we called, Mr. Young had left the company. Oh, wow. So he was your in-house IT person and they're no longer with the business? Okay. So how are you using temps? Are you working with a third-party company? How are you solving that problem right now? IT support. We'd obviously like to be considered as an alternative. How would we go about throwing our hat in the ring there? Hi, it's Carrie from Doberman Technologies. I'm sorry, I didn't hear your name. Hey, Tim. I was going to find out how we might provide a quote for IT support this year. I understand Scott is no longer there. No offense taken. What would we need to do differently out of curiosity? Like, what would we need to do to win your business? Could we set up a call a couple months from now after you've had a little time to think about it? And is pricing important? Is service important? Do you need immediate support, next day support? What are your top two requirements when you're ah IT is like that. Would you be open to having a conversation with the CEO of our business? Where are you located? We're in Mason, and I'd be more than happy to schedule some time for Mike to swing by your office and chat with you about your current requirements. It's just based on my conversation with the person that answered the phone. It sounds like you've got a couple of holes in your current IT support in house. And I don't want to make any assumptions, but I mean, obviously, we'd love to be considered as an alternative to the organization you're working with now. And if it's a good fit, great. If it's not a good fit, then I can stop calling you every 6 months. What's stopping you from outsourcing the entire, all of your IT requirements? So you're looking for somebody who would work on site in addition to having that third party support? Mhm. And is it a flat monthly rate that you're paying, or do you pay every time somebody comes on site? Well, it doesn't sound like a conversation would hurt at this point. I don't know if we can provide exactly what it is that you need, but if it turns out that we can't, I can definitely recommend a couple of recruiters that might be able to support you in finding that person. Hmm. I mean, everybody says that until they change. We aren't in the business of ruining good relationships, but we'd absolutely enjoy the opportunity to have a conversation about what you need right now and whether or not we can be a stopgap. Do you have some time on your calendar next week where Mike could swing by? I do. Changes for us too. Everybody has a different problem every day. What's the next openest day that you could give me? Let me check my calendar. So Wednesday would what time on Wednesday is best? Or what window on Wednesday so that I can go back to Mike and make sure that it works for him too. What is your email address? I'll send you an invite once I confirm his calendar. Mhm. And how many computers are you supporting? I just want to make sure our notes are still accurate. Well, so last time we spoke, you had 30 computers. Does that sound about right, or has it gone up or down? Okay. And what were if you don't have time for this conversation, that's fine. I can send you an email. Do you have time for a couple more questions? What was the division of labor between the person you had on site and what you were outsourcing? Are you outsourcing like basic password resets, or was that handled on site? Okay. So did you move everything to your third party provider when you lost your IT guy? Okay. Well, that sounds fun. I'm sure that's the best part of your day. Okay. So 30-ish computers, how many servers? Okay. Are they new or are they reaching into life? Okay. You rent them or you bought them outright? Okay. Do you know what your security setup is like there? Are they firewall? Okay. And what would you say right now is your biggest concern based on what your IT infrastructure looks like and your staffing looks like, other than getting a warm body into your office? When was the last time you had a security assessment? Is an independent security assessment something that your company is open to, regardless of whether or not you change providers? Okay. Okay. All right, well, let me get in touch with Mike, and then I'll reach back out to you with a time. I appreciate you taking the call, and my information will also be on that email. So if you need to change anything or adjust anything, or you want to let us know something before we come in, feel free to reply all to the email. And I hope you have a great rest of the day, and I hope you don't have to do too much IT support today. Thank you very much. I appreciate you. All right. Bye bye. And that brings us right to the top of the hour, my friends. So somebody said, I find that uncommon to have the CEO reach out. Is that common for most companies that you work with? Ryan, can you define, like, can you ask me that question differently? So these guys they're having a bit of a shit show. Unfortunately, their IT guy is gone. They use a third party provider. They like their third party provider, but they would really like somebody to come on site. And that's not a service that that company offers. It's also not a service that we offer. So some problem solving may be necessary there. And I want everyone to remember that this is not my first call to it's my first call to this company, but it's not our first call to this company. We have been pursuing this opportunity since 2018, and we have called them 13 times, right? So this opportunity, this meeting, which may go nowhere, took us 13 calls and 3 years to get to. Cold calling doesn't work quickly, but it does work. The problem is it doesn't work for about 18 months, because most of the calls are like the ones at the beginning where it's like, no thank you, no thank you, no answer, no answer, no thank you, no thank you, no answer, no answer. Until you have a clean list and an understanding of who they're working with. So I know who these guys are working with. I know the company. Last year, we couldn't beat them on price. This year, we can. So we can go in there. We can save them all kinds of money. We can't put someone on site, though. So we still may not be able to solve the biggest technology deficit they have, and that is hands-on support that they believe that they need to be effective, which is interesting because they only have 30 computers. So I'm not sure what is so special about this business that requires somebody to be on site full time for 30 people. But if we can talk them out of that idea, we can probably win this business. And Ryan said CEOs don't typically do sales calls. The business development team does that. If you're an MSP with under $2 million in annual recurring revenue and you're paying a sales team to do your selling for you, you're probably running hot and losing profit that you could be putting into your pocket, right? So if you look at how many calls, I just made 2 hours of phone calls. They now have 2 opportunities on the table, one with 30 employees and one with 40. So I've just put 70 endpoints worth of opportunity into this company's pipeline in under 2 hours. Why would I hire a sales rep if I can do that myself? Why would I spend that money, spend that time training, spend all of that? Like, salespeople need to be managed. They don't just magically fall out of the sky. You got to hire them. You got to train them. You got to incentivize them. You got to replace them on a regular basis, especially if you're going to make them do 8 hours of cold calling every day. So CEOs if you're under $2 million as a CEO, you should be making cold calls. You have a better opportunity of speaking to a business owner than anybody else in your business ever will. So if you're a large MSP, yeah, of course, the CEO isn't going to make the phone call, but we're a $2 million MSP. And our CEO is going to go in and take that sales call because he's also the person that's going to design the project if we win the business. So he's going to go in, he's going to take a look around, he's going to see what he likes, what he doesn't like, and decide if he even wants the business, right? What they don't want is a sales rep going in and signing business that is a bad fit for them all willy-nilly. You could sign business all day long, and if it's a bad fit, your company is losing money and you're going to run hot. So I do sales calls all the time. I manage Sales Pros is a $2 million business. We've been in business for 10 years, and I call every day. But I also like calling, and I built a business on calling. Most CEOs of IT companies aren't going to go out and do IT support every day either, unless they're smaller, right? In which case, the CEO's doing everything. CEO is a title. It's not really a job description. So if you don't have somebody to make sales calls as the CEO of an MSP, probably not going to win a lot of business. Does anyone else have any questions before I call it a shift? We're about 4 minutes over time. And thank you for the compliment. I'm going to pronounce your name correctly? Dagoberto? No, everybody's good? Dago. All right. Well, thank you guys for joining me today. This will be up online for people to look at again later. And hey, if you liked what you saw today, you can hire your own cold caller through Managed Sales Pros. Just head on over to our website and schedule some time to talk to someone. It's managedsalespros.com. And with that, it's lunchtime. Have a good afternoon, everyone.